Hi, this is Dominic Bruno. I'm here with my last Adobe Captivate project. For this one, I decided to focus on my journalism program. I feel like I've alluded to that in a lot of discussion board posts, whether in this class or other ones. But when I've made these actual projects, I've focused on my other class that I teach, which is AP Lit and Comp. So I switched it up here. I tried to think practically of if I am able to use this with my actual students, of something that would be of value to them. Um, you'll see sort of an overview of some very important reminders from my journalism staff, my second and third year staff members, as we approach the start of school. First day for them is Wednesday, August 17th. Some major decisions have been made between me and my executives. That's my third year, the highest year that you can go in my program. Students that I need to update my J2, Journalism 2 students, the editors, on. There are two videos, one shorter on the first slide and then one longer one, where the overlay slide is, and the quiz content is based off the longer video. So you're welcome to watch those. I will play them in their entirety. I did have problems, like I saw some other people did, when it came time to try to upload this to a website. Lots of error messages. Wasn't sure if it was the computer that I'm using or Adobe or the version, or I didn't know. But I am running up against the pressures of time. My family is heading out of town tomorrow, and I've mentioned a few times in different posts that this was the only computer, the one in my in-laws' basement that I'm on right now, that I could find that would work. So I'm just going to run out of time and ability to use this computer. So I did my best. If you have any interest in what the world of high school journalism looks like these days, then feel free to watch and quiz yourself, and you'll learn a lot about the Kamelin Crier. All right, here you go.
All right. Hi, guys. This is Dominic Bruno. If you are watching this, this means that one, you are either in my current grad school class, or you are a Journalism 2 or Journalism 3 student, meaning you are an incoming editor or executive. By this point, you all know your positions. We've seen each other quite a bit this summer. You've all done a nice job with your ad and some subscription sales, so we are on track to be able to um, publish and distribute 5 full issues and 3 supplements this year, which was our target goal as we concluded last year. Good news is we've raised even more money than anticipated, and because our staff size is growing, we are going to be able to maintain full color despite some of the losses that we've had due to COVID over the past few years that you guys know about. But we'll be able to keep full color, 24 pages for our full issues, and the glossy magazine style paper that we moved to pre-COVID, we will be able to get back to. So lots of good news. What you are seeing on this first slide are our covers from last year. We don't have the senior supplement up there yet, but you'll see the 5 full issues that we had last year in the 2021-22 school year, and our first week supplement, which your execs and I have been working on throughout the summer for this incoming school year. And you'll see the winter supplement that we did last year too. So this year's incoming executive team has decided that they're going to keep the same general structure. So as we discussed in our last staff meeting, your job as a Journalism 2 student is to come into the first day of school. The first day supplement is already going to be distributed, but when we get to our class, the first thing that we're going to do is collaboratively brainstorm for our first full issue. So that means this is the video I was telling you to look out for. I'm just going to walk you through what our pages are going to look like this year, because they're going to mimic last year's. So this is a reminder, but last year you guys were Journalism 1 students, so you weren't contributing to the actual paper. This year you are. So unlike last year, when brainstorming was pretty unrestricted, you could come up with any sorts of ideas you wanted to. This year, we need to let the content of the actual news magazine dictate the way that you brainstorm. So this is the video that I mentioned, where I'm going to walk you through and even quiz you a little bit, just to make sure that we understand what the content of this year's paper will be, so that you guys know how to brainstorm in a way that's going to be helpful. All right, hopefully that makes sense. And again, take a look at the screen. You can see all of our issue covers from last year. We need a picture for this year's first issue. So that will be dictated as we start to brainstorm and ideas start to come together, and we start to see a theme get to be pieced together through what ideas we come up with. But I don't know if you remember this from last year, but we make it competitive. Everyone should always be taking pictures, and we'll vote for the one that gets the cover. So you guys know our in-class award system that we have. I like to make everything competitive. So yeah, so just be mindful of that. Always be taking pictures. We talk about that all the time. All right. So as I move through this presentation, I'm going to take you through each of the different pages, all 24 of them, to remind you of what our paper will look like this year and how it should influence the way that you brainstorm. All right. Thank you.
All right, so really just to provide some context for grad school students, that my journalism students would already understand. There's 3 levels in the crier in the journalism program. So journalism 1, those students are labeled as reporters. They have me for 1 period of the day. Um, I try to teach them as much as I can about journalism, and by the end of the year, have them figure out what they foresee as their role within our staff. They don't have to continue, obviously, but if they choose to, they become journalism 2 students. And to become a journalism 2 student, you have to raise money through ad sales, because ad sale money is how we fund the printing of our paper and the paper itself and the color and all that sort of stuff. And we also compete at the state and national level. Those competitions all cost money. We go on a bunch of field trips. Obviously, that costs money. So ad sales is really important. So the reason I need them to know the answer to this question, the reason it's a knowledge check, is the number of issues that we can print. The contract that we sign with our printer is based off of how much money we raise during the summer, and that has a direct influence over their positions. So we interview them in the spring at the end of the school year for their hypothetical positions going into the next school year. But we might have to cut some positions if we have to cut pages, which we would have to do if we don't have enough money. Yeah, so I mean, I could keep going into this, but this is a variable answer from year to year, and a lot depends on our success or lack thereof with ad sales. So if they do miss this question, they need to know this. So they would have to go back and rewatch that video. So I'll go ahead and miss it. So the answer, I said it in the video, is 5 full issues and 3 supplements. That was our target. That was our goal heading into the summer. So we're happy about that. Full issues are 24 pages. Supplements are 8 pages. So yeah, but I'll go ahead and miss this. Let's just say they mix up the 2 numbers. I'll submit that. And you need to know this now that you're an upper level staff member. So please go back and watch a video on the first slide again. So we'll submit it, and then they'll get annoyed with me because I'll have to go back.
All right. Hi, guys. This is Dominic.
I will not subject you to watching that again, though. All right. So we'll move on from there. I did only give them 1 attempt because I do want to see who misses questions. And if they miss questions that are this foundational to our program, I want to have early conversations with them. So that's the intent behind that. All right. So we will move on from there. Once you get to this slide, I'm going to pause it. I have this up here for, I think I put it at 10 seconds. So to please watch this video for an overview of our pages this year, which will help you focus your brainstorming. What I mean by that, my staff would know this. I just don't know if anyone watching this would. When they're journalism 1 students and I'm teaching them how to write a news story, a feature story, an opinion, all those different types of stories, they get a lot of creative license. They can pick whatever they want. They're not writing for a publication. Their stories, their J1 year, unless they are phenomenally, just phenomenal students who are uniquely suited to be writing for our paper as a J1 student, they're just doing it for practice. But by the time they become editors, they are writing for the paper. So you can't just randomly brainstorm stuff for your own pleasure. You have to think like what belongs in an actual publication, and what belongs is going to be based off of our page content. What types of pages and how many different types of pages are we going to have? So they would all know that. I'm just trying to give you guys some context if you're watching. I do tell them expect a short quiz following the video. I did indicate I always like to do this. I always emphasize that we are a student-run publication, so we will make mistakes. We will make mistakes when we tweet, when we post on Instagram, when we podcast, broadcast on our website, in our print publication. We actually play a game throughout the summer where I send them grammatical mistakes that I find in professional publications, and then the first person to find the mistake gets a point. I give them a trophy, the winner on the first day of school. So I like to call out my own mistakes when I make them, just to show that we're all learning and we all make them. So I misspoke in this video that's about to play when I said how many issues we would have. It's because I made this video prior to the previous video, and all of our ad sale money hadn't been accounted for quite yet. So if they catch that mistake, because it's different than the question that they just answered, the 5 full issues and 3 supplements. So if they catch that mistake, they know I always have a stash of miscellaneous fruit snacks that my 3 own little kids like to pick. they'll get those on the first day or the next time I see them. All right, to only watch this video, it's the longer one with the overlay slide. If you care about what high school journalism looks like these days.
All right, hello Crier staff, or at least my J2s and 3s. So as we get closer to the start of the school year, here is your, as promised, quick tutorial video, which really at this stage of the summer should be just reminders as to what our first full issue of the school year is going to look like. Your executives, the 6 of us, 6 of them plus me, have been at school almost every day working on the first day supplement. So that's just about done. So on that first day of school, reminder, crier shirts for everybody. Show up ready to help us distribute, get a crier in the hands of every kid in that building. Then when we get to class, our attention turns right away to brainstorming for our first issue. So when we start brainstorming for our first issue, keep in mind, as you come up with your list in advance of August 17th, our first day, you guys have to be brainstorming according to the content of the news magazine. All right, so not just random brainstorming. Think of the categories that we have. All right, so to help your just review the way that you should be thinking about story topics. We're going to click on a issue from last year. Our exec team for this year decided that we're going to keep the same structure. Judges had really good review. We did really well at state last year, so we're going to keep the same stuff this year. So I will go ahead and click on issue 2 from last year, just to give you a quick overview, some reminders as to what to expect for this year and how it should really influence the way that you plan with your brainstorming. Yes, by the way, before any of you make fun of me, I am in my, if you remember the Zoom years, not too long ago, I am in my usual recording area. No boys allowed, except Dad. So I'm in the girls' room. If any of them come storming in, or Dean, I apologize in advance, but you guys should be used to that by now. 2 of the cats are also in here with me. I don't know if you can see them, Willie and Waylon. Say hello. But as usual, they're willing to help me out. All right, so issue 2 from last year, we decided as our theme, and reminder, if you need it, reminder is that theme is a thing in high school journalism. When you read the Chicago Tribune, if you do, or the Kane County Chronicle or anything, they don't have to worry in a daily newspaper about theme. But when you come out infrequently, the way that we do, we have 7 issues per year. What judges want to see is that you have a theme that ties your content together. So we always have to be thinking, what's a logical, timely, relevant theme that's of interest to our readership, which is students in our building. So last year in November, if you remember, we were still fully masked, lots of uncertainty about the vaccine and where the year was headed. But our staff, I remember our conversations, we were all agreeing that it was kind of time to start looking with a little bit more of a positive, state of mind perspective about what was coming up after a long time where our themes were a little bit more dark and understandably so, sort of heavy. So we went with exploring the good. So remember, emphasis on pictures throughout the year. We made the commitment last year to go full color. It costs a lot more. If we're going full color, that means we have to emphasize our picture quality. Now, last year, obviously, you know, Miss Kelly, you probably know Grace, we did have to stage this. We always try to avoid stage pictures if we can. But if we are going to stage them, then at least try to make them look candid. All right, so theme, exploring the good. We're going to do something similar this year. Full page picture, headline that corresponds, sub-headline that does a little bit more explanation. This year will be volume 49. We'll put the issue number, Camden High School, and the date. Date, remember, is always publication date or distribution date, not PDF, not proof, but always distribution date. All right, so page 2. Keep the same style table of contents. Judges really like that in their feedback from last year. This goes back to the emphasis on pictures. Table of contents pictures will be dictated based on our staff vote. So as we get ready to send our issue off to PDF, everybody on staff will read all the stories that go into the issue. And you'll have seen them already through our editing process, but we'll read them one more time in their final state. We'll vote on the 4 stories of the issue, but your story won't be featured in the table of contents if you don't have extra pictures for Sammy, our photography executive, to choose from. You always have to take more than the minimum number of pictures for your page. You write the story, you take the pictures, but take more than you're envisioning will actually go on the page, because we always need more. And even if they don't get used in here, we've got various social media outlets. We're always trying to keep content. So keep that in mind. Take pictures. All right. Page 3, we're going to stick with lifestyle. So lifestyle will still be our content area. Please remember, lifestyle is a subcategory of feature. We're thinking what is relevant to our student body, what's timely, what are people talking about, what do they care about, are they actually going to read it? Page 3, people open the paper, they're going to look right at it. So it's got to be something that's of interest to them. Learned a lot last year from my execs about apparently Instagram aesthetics is a thing. I didn't know that. If you look at my Instagram, I do not follow much of an aesthetic. That's what Maddie here, though, wrote about last year. So, and then design-wise, if this year's lifestyle editor, you got to keep in mind, you have creative license. So we went with when Kira designed this last year, she went with the Instagram page looking design right in the middle there. And they had that serve as the caption for the picture. So creative license if you are on a more creative page. News page editor, less creativity. It should look like a straight news page. Opinion page editor, less creativity. But that's why you guys applied for the positions that you wanted. So just kind of keep in mind the creative license or lack thereof that you have. All right. Page 4 and 5 will still be news. News in terms of a newspaper. When you open a paper, front page, early in the paper, you're going to see news. So no, visually, not our most exciting content, but we used to have news all the way in the back. And judges said, hey, you got to bump that up if you're going to call yourself a news magazine. All right, so last year, we're not a daily paper. We come out sporadically, sometimes once in a month. So we have to think what's still going to be newsworthy when we actually come out. So that can be a tough game to play, but you can see last year, I think these are some good examples of how we're able to be forward thinking when we were actually brainstorming and actually writing the stories, and think what's still going to be relevant when we come out on the day that we do. All right, so that'll be the challenge this year as well. All right, pages 6 and 7. Last year were voices. This year there's some talk that we might just narrow this down to one page. As you can see, we have a lot of space. So execs and I are talking about, do we want to cut this down and just do one page? And then we'd have to figure out what are we going to do with the pages left over. So we'll see. Voices page, you will have more creative license. Responsibility is to ask a question, pose it to a whole bunch of people, and don't only ask the minimum number of people. If you get boring answers to the question that you ask, keep asking until you get more interesting answers. All right, so we asked about comfort movie or TV show. Remember that in terms of theme, the cover, the editorial, and the center spread have to relate to the theme. That's what judges want. Other pages, there's no rule that it has to relate to that theme that's on the cover. But you should, we have 24 pages, you should have a few other pages at least that relate to that theme, otherwise people might forget what it is. So here's an example of what I mean by that. If the idea of the theme was emphasizing things that are good, comfort movie, TV show kind of fell in line with what that theme was. All right. Next page is we'll have sports. This year, our exec team decided to make this sports and activities instead of just 2 sports pages. So they'll give us some more flexibility. So it can be clubs too. So it doesn't have to just be sports. Because we are not a daily paper, our sports pages tend to be more like sports features. So we have to keep that in mind as you guys brainstorm for the first day of school. Don't say you're going to cover the first football game, because by the time our first issue comes out, that first football game is going to be done. They're going to play several more football games. So you got to think feature style when you're planning for sports. All right, we've got our feature story, just straight up features. So this gives you some flexibility in terms of planning. Think of your J1 year, where we wrote all different types of features, so many different types of subcategories. These are supposed to be based off of human emotion, play off of human feelings. Features are meant to make people feel. News stories are meant to inform. They might have the byproduct of making people feel a certain way, but features, you have to appeal to human emotion. All right, so you can see 2 examples of what we did last year. Creative flexibility, if you have a feature page, more so than if you have a straight up news page. That is your editorial responsibility. All right, next up, center spread. Center spread, you get the most creative license. You have 2 pages to work with. You're going to see a combination of elements. There might be an infographic in some cases. Plenty of our issues from last year have infographics on the center spread. So polling and data. But we might have multiple pictures, cartoon like you see here, along with the story. So lots of flexibility. Elliot, that this year, that's you. Ashley was last year. You got someone who's in the design exec role this year. No coincidence that last year she spent designing our center spread. So you got someone in the room who can help you out if you ever need inspiration for ideas. All right. After the center spread, we've got our advice and our editorial. Advice, we're trying to keep it timely. Last year it came out late November. Thinking about tips on picking the perfect gift. You can think about why we picked that for that time. So again, as you brainstorm for the first issue, you got to think what's going to be relevant advice for that part of the school year. We come out in late August. Or no, that's a supplement. Sorry, we come out late September with that first full issue. All right, editorial, that'll be written by the executive staff and voted on by the entire staff. So this year, think of the jump in enrollment that we have this year. Guess how many votes we're going to have this year based on the enrollment for J1, 2, and 3. This number is going to add up to 83. It's going to be a lot harder to write editorials that have group consensus with the staff as large as we have become. That'll be fun. All right. You always want to keep anything that's opinionated lumped together in the same part of the paper, so opinion follows editorial. So we have two different opinion stories. Remember, the difference between editorial and opinion, they both express opinions, is that you got to put your name to it if you're the opinion writer. Editorials represent the collective voice of the whole staff. Opinions, you got to put your name out there. All right, so you can see two good examples. We always look for cartoonists, try to find different cartoonists throughout the building and mix up who we have. It's a good way to get a lot of people involved in our production, not just the people who are actually on our crier staff. All right, then we'll have our profile page. Profile, again, is a subcategory of feature. We're going to find one person in the building. Remember the rules we put in place for our staff last year? We're going to kind of keep to the same thing. We don't need to go find the starting quarterback. We don't need to go find the captain cheerleader. I mean, I'm not ruling them out, but we got to think of people. It's a good use of our profile page to find people who don't always get the spotlight. I thought we did an awesome job of that last year. It'd be nice to see that continue. All right, but again, full page picture, ideally not staged. I will admit, staged. And then lengthy story. So start thinking as you brainstorm. This is a fun one to brainstorm for. Who do we want to spotlight? You got to make sure there's enough content there. It can't just be your friend. You got to think there's got to be stories behind that person that are worth sharing. All right, and then we've got our photos story. So in photos, now we've got a photography executive, we've got Instagram, we've got Twitter, we've got Snapchat, we've got TikTok. We're all over. We're podcasting, we're broadcasting. So a photos page is more like a photos story. It's not just a random collection of pictures. There's got to be a story that keeps it connected. So it's not a collage that we're going for. It's got to be some sort of unified story. It can be tough to plan. We might see this start to go away, but we're going to keep it for this year. We'll see how it plays out with our social media, how much of a following we can get there, and then this might become obsolete. But as of now, we are keeping it. So what's a fall-ish conducive photo story idea that you have for that first issue? That's what you should be brainstorming. All right. And as we wrap up, this is a whole different conversation. This is our 3 ad pages. You guys have already hopefully watched my ad video, and we are doing an awesome job with our ad sales this summer. Most of you have met your ad goal. Some are still a little bit short. Reach out to me or Ashley if you need any help with that. But everybody pull their weight so we can keep printing our issues and competing in our various competitions and going on our cool field trips. All right. Thank you for watching. We'll see you guys very soon.
Okay, so you can see if you watch that whole video, you notice the overlay slide. I will admit that it was a bit clunky, for lack of a better term. It was not the most seamlessly integrated. I will say that I did mess around with it a little bit, and it's better than it was the first few times that I tried. There was some intent, though, in kind of slipping it in. I tried to put it in a natural place where I was talking about what their assignment would be in terms of brainstorming, but also the point of it not being there for the rest of the video or anything like that. I think I put it there for 15 seconds and I put like in red font, I said, maybe take a screenshot of this. But the point of it not being there forever, is that they know this assignment back in the spring. They know that they have to show up. It's what we always do. They know they have to show up on the first day with brainstormed ideas. They know that it's not a traditional class where we have to go through get to know you stuff. We know each other really well. We've had staff barbecues and stuff this summer. Like we're very much sort of just picking up where we left off from our last summer staff meeting. Um, so yeah, it's been posted on our Canvas page. It's been reminded to them in our group me chat that we participate in every day. So that they should know that assignment, but it was there as kind of one last reminder. All right, so from here, it's going to take them to the 5-question quiz. When Captivate calculates the results, I had it calculate the first knowledge check question too. So it's in total a 6-point quiz. Only one attempt here. I talked in one of my previous videos with AP Lit that when things are formative, I like to give them multiple opportunities, and I'm not actually going to grade them. If I was doing this for really like in school, they would not get an actual grade that would go in the grade book for this quiz. But I would want to see who missed what, if anybody missed anything, because the questions I'm asking them are really like foundational things. There will be many challenges and obstacles and difficult situations that come up every single day in a journalism program. So we got to make sure that we at least know the foundational sorts of facts. So I'd want to catch anybody who missed any of these upcoming questions. All right, from here.
All right. Hello, Crier staff.
Sorry, I will not make you watch it again. So you'll see a 5-question quiz to check your understanding of some of the facts that you should know to advance your first day of school. Anything I'm asking in the quiz was covered in the previous video. Remember that our class is different. I just explained that to you guys. No time to waste in a journalism class. So then, brainstorming at the J2 editor level is different than brainstorming at the J1 reporter level. Which factor now needs to influence the way that you brainstorm? Obviously, it's not D. A lot changes. School environment, they might think that because, yeah, we do have to be mindful of our audience, but that's not the right answer. Sometimes we write about stuff that's happening nationally or internationally. Number of people on our staff, I talked about that, but that's not related to how you brainstorm. So what it is the sections of our news magazine. You can't just brainstorm however you want to based on personal interests. You got to think, what sections do we have in the actual paper? All right, next one, high school journalism publications need to be mindful of one specific component when planning an issue that major daily newspapers don't need to worry about. What is that unique component? I could see a student picking this, for example, but then I would need to have a conversation with that student or students early in the school year, because we can't constantly be thinking about what will or won't offend. We just need to tell the truth and be fact-based and all that sort of stuff. So sometimes the story might offend somebody. Content tied exclusively to the school and community. The word exclusively rules that one out. Of course, we do want to be mindful of our school and community when we write stories, but sometimes we got to cover stuff that extends beyond it. Total number of pages, not really related to this question. A clear theme. Tribune doesn't have a theme. Sun Times doesn't have a theme. Daily Herald, King County Chronicle. High school newspaper publications, when we submit these to judges to be evaluated, they want to see that your staff can carry out a clear theme. All right, next up, my homework for the first day of school is to show up with at least 3 story ideas for each category that we have in the crier. If they miss this, then they're going to not only miss the question, but they're going to miss their first homework assignment of the year. It won't lead to a 0 in the grade book because we're standards based in terms of grading, but it will lead to staff collective roll of the eyes, maybe, that somebody didn't pull their weight. So, because right on that first day, we start throwing ideas out and get ready to come up with our first issue. So this is absolutely true. All right, next one. Your job with each issue is to write the story you're assigned and to design your page. What is another important responsibility that each staff member must remember? There are other responsibilities coming that they don't necessarily know everything about yet, but what they have to know from the very beginning is that they need to take pictures for the story that they write. The idea here is that they know the content of their story better than anybody else does. They wrote it, so they have to be mindful of pictures. I always emphasize more pictures than actually will go on the page, because we have Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, TikTok. We broadcast, we podcast. We have that table of contents that has extra pictures. We have a cover photo. So more pictures will always be useful. All right. And the last one. Crier's been around for quite a while. Which volume of our paper will we be making this year? Really only the editor-in-chief is responsible for this, because they put it on the cover every time they design the cover. But I'd like the whole staff to know, and I try to instill a lot of pride in the crier to make students understand that it's not just about them in their 3 years that they're in the program. It's been around for a very long time, and we're a very proud publication. So they should know that we're volume 49. My current J2 students will be vying for executive positions next year. Need to know that next year is a big one. as we move into volume 50. So we are at volume 49. I will have gotten a 5 out of 6 because I did miss that first question, the knowledge check question, early in the presentation to show you that it would take you back to the video. So that's where I ended up. If I see a student missed any question or questions, we would definitely be talking about that early in the school year to make sure they know the foundational stuff. All right, if you watched this whole thing, awesome. Thanks. Hopefully you learned a little bit about what high school journalism program is like. I've learned a ton. It's only this will be my 5th year running this program, the Crier program, but my 15th year of teaching. So I've learned a ton every year that I've done this. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I will be heading out of town with my family starting tomorrow, so I won't have access to this one computer that I could find that would enable me to use Captivate. So I'll still have internet, but yeah, not any capability with Captivate. So, all right, thank you.